You know that feeling when you're looking at a piece of code and something just feels off? I mean, it works, sure, but it feels clumsy, maybe a little too complicated. Well, it turns out that just like a great mechanic can hear a tiny problem in an engine way before it breaks down, we as developers can learn to spot these warning signs in our own code. So today, let's dive into this idea of code health. We're going to learn how to diagnose and treat the hidden problems that slow us all down. Right. Think about it like this. You're driving your car and you start to hear this weird little rattle. Now, the car still gets you where you need to go, but that noise, it's a symptom, isn't it? It's telling you that something deeper might be wrong, something that could turn into a real headache down the road. In the world of software, we call that funny noise a code smell. So, what exactly is a code smell? Well, it's basically a characteristic in the code that hints at a potential design problem. And here's the most important part. A smell is not a bug. Your program will compile, it'll run just fine, but these smells are clues. They're little hints that your code might be tough to change, hard for the next person to understand, or, just more likely to break in the future. Okay, so to get good at spotting these things, it really helps to put them into categories. Think of this next part as our field guide to the most common types of code smells out there. It's time to put on our detective hats and learn exactly what to look for. First up on our list, we have the bloaters. And yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. This is code that has just grown so big that it's become a pain to manage. Imagine trying to read a single chapter in a book that's like 200 pages long. It's just way too much to take in at once. And in code, this can happen with a function, a class, or even just a list of parameters. So here are a few classic examples of bloaters. A long method is one that's just trying to do way too much at once. Then you have the large class, which often breaks a really important idea called the single responsibility principle. All that means is that every piece of your code should have one and only one job. When a class starts doing 5 different jobs, it just becomes this tangled mess. And finally, things like long parameter lists or data clumps, those groups of variables that always seem to be passed around together, they're all signs your code is getting clumsy and really awkward to use. All right, let's move on to our next category, the object orientation abusers. This is what happens when those really powerful ideas of object-oriented design get either ignored or, honestly, just used incorrectly. And the result is code that's super rigid when it's supposed to be flexible. For instance, a giant switch statement is almost always a sign that you should be using something called polymorphism. Now, that's just a fancy word for letting different objects respond to the same command in their own unique way, which is so much cleaner. Refused bequest is a great one. It's when a child class inherits a bunch of stuff from its parent class but then refuses to use it. That's a huge clue that your class family tree isn't structured quite right. And having 2 classes that basically do the same thing but with different method names? Come on, that's just creating a puzzle for anyone who tries to use your code later. Now this next group, this one is particularly painful. Change preventers. These are symptoms that your code is incredibly brittle. They're the things that make a seemingly simple change feel like performing brain surgery, where tweaking one little thing causes a whole cascade of other changes all over the codebase. And here we have 2 sides of the very same coin. With divergent change, you find yourself having to modify a single class in a bunch of different places just to make one logical change. The total opposite problem is shotgun surgery. That's where one tiny change forces you to make little edits in many different classes. Both of these are massive red flags that your code is becoming a nightmare to maintain. Our 4th category is for all the stuff that, just doesn't need to be there. We call them the dispensables. This is code or even comments that just adds clutter and noise without providing any real value. It is quite literally the junk drawer of your code base. Okay, this one can be a bit controversial, but comments can absolutely be a code smell if their only job is to explain what a confusing piece of code is supposed to do. The goal should always be to make the code itself so clear that it doesn't need an explanation. Duplicate code is a classic, of course. Dead code is just unused logic that's sitting there taking up space. And a lazy class? That's a class that was created, but frankly, it doesn't do enough to justify its own existence. And finally, we have the couplers. This smell is all about excessive coupling. That's when 2 classes are way too tightly connected. They know too much about each other's private business, and this makes them really hard to change or test or reuse on their own. Feature envy is a great one. It's when a method in one class is completely obsessed with the data in another class. That's a pretty big sign it probably belongs over there. Inappropriate intimacy is when classes just break down all boundaries and start using each other's internal private parts. This totally violates a core principle called encapsulation, which is just the rule that a class should protect its inner workings from the outside world. And finally, you see these message chains like A get B dot get C dot do something. They create this long, fragile chain of dependencies. If anything in the middle changes, the whole thing shatters. Okay, so we've spent all this time diagnosing the problems. Now, what's the treatment? I mean, we can't just point out the smells and walk away. We need a disciplined, safe way to fix them. And that treatment is called refactoring. So, what is it? Here's the most important rule of refactoring, bar none. You are improving the code's design on the inside without changing how it behaves on the outside. Anyone using your code shouldn't even know you did anything. You're not changing the ship's destination, you're just down in the engine room, cleaning things up so it all runs smoother and better. And the real beauty of this whole process is that for almost every single code smell we've identified, the software community has already developed a specific named refactoring technique that acts as the perfect cure. It's like a doctor knowing exactly which medicine to prescribe for a specific illness. You can see the relationship right here. It's so direct. Is your method too long? Well, you use extract method to pull out a piece of that logic into a new, smaller, more focused method. Is your class too big and doing too much? You use extract class to split up its responsibilities. That feature envy we were just talking about, the cure is simple. Move method right over to the class it was so envious of. For pretty much every smell, there is a proven, well-documented fix. Now, this next part is incredibly important. Just like a doctor takes an oath to do no harm, we have to approach refactoring with extreme care. The whole point is to make the code better, not to accidentally introduce a bunch of new bugs. And thankfully, there is a disciplined, safe way to do it. This is the process. This is the mantra. It is absolutely not about rewriting everything all at once. It's a cycle of tiny, verifiable steps. You identify one smell, you make sure your tests are solid, you apply one small change, like extracting a single method, and then you immediately run all your tests. If they pass, you know with confidence you haven't broken anything. Then you just repeat the cycle. Let's be crystal clear about this. Your automated tests are the single most important part of this whole process. They are your safety net. They're what lets you know, instantly, if a change has backfired. With a strong set of tests, you can refactor with confidence, with freedom. Without them, well, you're not really refactoring. You're just making risky changes and hoping for the best. So why do we go through all this trouble? Why bother? Because this continuous cycle of diagnosing smells and applying these little refactoring treatments, it's fundamental to the long-term health and, frankly, the success of any software project. I mean, the difference is just night and day. Code that's full of smells is brittle, it's confusing, and it slows down every single new feature you try to add. But clean, refactored code is resilient and flexible, it's easy to maintain, and it actually accelerates your future work, because you're always building on top of a solid, understandable foundation. So, I'll leave you with this question. Think about the code base you work in every day. Now that you have this field guide, you can start listening, really listening for those funny noises. So what's it going to be? What's the first code smell you're going to diagnose and treat?